Hello, Mystics, and welcome to my library. Today I'm going to be showing you books that really inspired me and changed my perception or altered my life in some way. I've broken it up into a couple of categories. We're going to start with the first book that really blew my mind. Now, it's a pamphlet and it's called Magick, a Treatise of Esoteric Ethics by Manly P. Hall. He explained the nature of demons. He explained natures of man. So we all have different levels and elements within us. It's not even a book. I have a thing for pamphlets. When I see something printed like this, I know it's special. I know it's probably a limited edition, and I am obsessed with buying the pamphlets. This book talks about the ethics of using magic, and there was one part of it that it really opened up my perception of the world. So it's not that black is evil in this source of black and white magic. It's a natural part of life. I'm going to read directly from this. Children of the dark birth, demons, if you will, who labor in the blackness of this substance, molding it into the pyramids of the unseen and unmeasurable forms, are not evil. They are the sons of Saturn, Satan, the Black Father, who, like the very darkness of chaos itself, must in time swallow all of his creations, and in doing so, bring them back to life again from the death that men call creation. We are all born out of this dark abyss and have no right to call it evil. The dark lords of Saturn are the builders of the first dawn, the morning of blackness. From the frictions of their striving were born the first flames of the dawning of consciousness. So we have to remember that if things were born out of nothing, we need to have dark to balance the light. And that really opened up my mind to the idea of it's not the spiritual battle of good versus evil. That is a human myth that we've projected onto our religions and even our politics, but that's a different conversation. This grand battle, this divine warfare is going on internally within people. It is not happening externally in the universe. In fact, there is a striving for balance. So, Magick, a treatise on esoteric ethics. It might still be available on PRS. I'll link it down below. The next book that really blew my mind was Aleister Crowley and the Ouija Board by L. Edward Cornelius. Okay, so I loved Ouija boards, and I'm talking about the LTDs. I had it on everything because it was the only way in my younger life that I could display safely my interest in the spooky, paranormal, spiritual realms. I bought this book for it says it was on sale, so I bought it for $20, and I kept it for years, and I just never read it. Part of that because I had and still have some issues with Crowley. Regardless, I eventually was yeah, I should just read this book, and I'm so glad I did, because although he doesn't give you a step-by-step book, you can read between the lines and figure it out. But understanding how the spirit board works. So the main thing is, and you can see this on my videos with Sam and Colby, you never call the spirit into the board. The spirit needs its own space, or you make its little altar. You have to make it with a triangle, because your planchette, ideally that you've made by hand, is a triangle with a clear quartz inside, or a Herkimer diamond. And the spirit uses that to connect, but it cannot control you. It cannot control the board. It cannot possess you if it's you had that space. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I also understand why Parker Brothers didn't put that in the little pamphlet you got for the Ouija board. Understanding the way that spirit boards work, it was like a puzzle coming together for me. Is this book a little bit dry? Yeah, it's a little dry. And if you don't have a good understanding of some like occult subjects. You might need to Google a little bit. You might need to look up some things to fully understand the context. But I did really enjoy it. The other thing I'll say before I put this book down is that spirit boards can take a really long time to use. The way that Sam and Colby use it, like, it's because of their friendship and their connection that board moves so quickly. I have experimented with other groups of people who were not good friends, and it did not work as well, especially in like a public setting. So you want to practice a spirit board with someone that you have a good connection with and that you trust. Let's go for a psychological bent now. So this is Robert A. Johnson's book called Owning Your Own Shadow. He has a lot of other works that I've read, including She, He, and We. I read those when I was in philosophy. It was my undergrad philosophy class. This book is pretty short. I think it's less than 100 pages. It's 97 pages. But it like my mind. And here it is. Romantic love as shadow. I highlighted here that this is specifically about the act of falling in love with somebody, the thing we're all addicted to, not love as a conscious action. Okay, so I made my little notes here. I do write in my books. I love them, and it's helpful for me when I review them, especially when I'm looking for quotes later. This quote specifically says, "We ask the beloved to do what our spiritual disciplines have done for us in the past. Make us new, redeem us, save our souls. Redeem us, make us new, and save our souls." End quote. You're asking this person that you love to be like your God projection, to do all of this for you, and that's not healthy. That should be a different aspect of your life. And he talks about that too, that it's a projection of our God image, falling in love. And in my mind, I was just like, whoa, that explains so much about a lot of relationships. There are no words for this book other than I'm personally addicted to that feeling of my mind, my consciousness opening. Like, I love that feeling of new understanding. I don't know if everyone feels that, but I love that feeling. So unless you want that, I think it's called ontological shock. Maybe don't read that book. If you're looking for ways to bring the occult into your life, consider becoming a member of Pythian Mystery School. Together, I can help you increase your tarot knowledge to read cards without the book, become proficient in learning how to communicate with your spirit guides, protect yourself from negative energies, and learn how to craft your own rituals. You can join by clicking the link down below in the description. Let's move into some tarot now. This book, Meditations on Tarot, A Journey into Christian Hermeticism, I almost didn't buy this book. Like, I saw this book sitting on the shelf at Barnes & Noble for like years, like 2 years. And I was with my boyfriend and we were at Barnes & Noble and I was like, you know, that book has been like staring at me for a long time. And he's like, that's one of the best books I've ever read. And I was like, but Christian? And he's like, yeah, because the author, the anonymous author, was actually a priest. And I was like, a priest wrote a book on tarot? And he's like, it is so deep and so intense. There's so much history behind it. And I was like, okay, I can get over my biases to check it out. And I am so glad I did. This book is if you want to go deep into the soul of tarot. So I'll pull up, let's see, what do I have bookmarked? I have a bookmark in here. So this is Meditations on the Sun. Intuition is therefore a cooperation of human intelligence with superhuman wisdom. It is what creates the link or intermediary gnosis, an intermediary magic between the absolute and the relative, between the supernatural and the natural, between faith and reason. Now, intuition can be developed only by people who have faith and who have reason. It is reserved for those believing thinkers. Whosoever believes and does not think will never attain it. Whosoever thinks and does not believe will never have the certainty of the transcendental things that intuition can give. Mind-blowing. I haven't seen this book at Barnes & Noble in a while, but I do recommend it. I also can only read this in like chunks There's just so much to chew on. There's so much to take in. And this book is huge. It's almost 700 pages. And no, I have not read the entire thing. And I plan on reading this for the rest of my life. So now for a more philosophical bent. I'm only going to talk about this briefly. Plato's Republic. So this book became really important when I was 14 years old. The girl that I liked gave it to me. And she's like, hey, I think you'd really like this book. And I read it. And I was like, I'm so confused. I don't know what the fuck I just read. So I just gave it back to her. I was like, thanks. And she's like, what'd you think about it? And I said, I don't really know. That relationship never went anywhere. Plato's Republic would come up multiple times in my life. It comes up when I was 14. It came up again when I studied my undergraduate degree in philosophy. And then it would come up for a third time under Carol Dunn's book, Plato's Dialogues, A Path to Initiation. And everything clicked together. Like, I just had this realization of, like, I was right. I knew that there was something special about these books, especially when I was an undergrad. And I was like, I think that there's levels to this. I think this is more spiritual than just, like, abstract thought. But that was not received well in my undergrad. And so having this book written by Carol Dunn was so validating for me. I do recommend at least reading the Cliff Notes on Plato's Republic. They're allegories, they're stories, ideas of how society should be run. That's all I have time to share today. I hope you'll join me for next time when I share more books from my library that have inspired me.